One of the greatest historic events of humanity was the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. It changed everything about the history of humanity. But this greatest event witnessed three types of people, and those type of people in the time of Jesus over 2,000 years ago, they are still in our own time. Those people are still even in this church. The first type of people is what is recorded in the book of Lamentation chapter 1 verse 12. And it says, "Does it not concern you, those of you who are passing by? Don't you even recognize the suffering that I'm going through? The suffering that God has placed upon me." Indifferent people who were so indifferent about the suffering of Jesus Christ. They were just going about their own thing. It doesn't matter. What has that to do with us? And we saw it even in the Passion today. Indifferent people have something to say. You save others. Now, why not save yourself? Is he not the one that said that he would destroy the temple and raise it up in 3 days? Come on, give us a break. That was the same first type of people. And the same people who ridiculed God are still existing even in our own time today. Who do not even believe when we talk about the love of God. For them as an individual. For me as an individual. For you as an individual. Sometimes we tend to generalize the salvation that God bought with his own blood and said, that is what he did for people. What has that to do with me? Indifference ridicules God. It's none of my business. The second type of people were recorded in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 23, from verse 27 to 30. Sympathizers. They were a crowd of women who were wailing, crying for Jesus. And Jesus turned to them. "Do not cry for me. Cry for yourselves and your children." Sympathizers who could only sympathize and say, "Oh, how pitiable is God. Oh, how could they do that to him? Of course, not for me. They killed him. I'm not responsible. What has that to do with me?" And they were wailing, and Jesus turned to them. "This is not about me as much as about you." And I see, even in the moment of Holy Week, we became a little bit more emotional. On Good Friday, shedding tears. What are those tears? What are they for? And the third people were recorded in the Gospel of John, chapter 19. Mary and other women, a host of other women, who stood at the foot of the cross of Jesus, contemplating, what does this death meant for me? They were at the foot of the cross of Jesus. They recognized that everything he did was for me, not just for him. And the question is it today? God is directing this question to me, Father Kingsley, to all the deacons, seminarians, and to you. Among these three people, where do you find yourself when we are talking about the Holy Week? How do you approach the Holy Week? With indifference? I got something to do. I don't have time. Holy Week is not optional. It is not optional. Sometimes we approach God with this indifference, even towards our own salvation. And the Lord is asking, how long will this indifference continue? When it comes to such a beautiful event that brought us salvation, how are you going to approach? How are you going to live the reality of this Holy Week? Is it with indifference? I don't even have time. I'm just going to appear with sympathy. Or just let us go. I'm always emotional on Good Friday. I can't even believe I'm going to cry again. Or are you among those who will stand at the foot of the cross and recognize that this salvation is for me? He died for me. This is the time to personalize this journey of the cross, not for them, but for you. There is always the possibility of switching camps. Probably last year, I was indifferent. 2 years ago, I was one of the sympathizers. But this year, I want to be among those who will stand at the foot of the cross, contemplating what does his death means for me. This is an opportunity that I may not even have next year. So I'm not going to allow it to slip by. I'm going to take every moment of this year's Holy Week and personalize it and ask myself, what does it mean for me? Salvation from eternal damnation, what does it mean for me? How am I going to participate in this year's Holy Week? What atmosphere would your family celebrate this year's Holy Week? Be an atmosphere of noise, everybody going his own business, everybody on the phone. Is it not time to switch down the phone a little bit, slow it down, and be able to focus in prayer? Are you going to create an atmosphere of prayer in your own home? Father will say to the wife, and the wife will say to the husband and children, this is for us. He died that our household may have salvation, and we want to celebrate it and be able to talk. What does it mean for us? This is the time of prayer. Whether you're going to attend in person or you're going to follow online, do not allow it to slip through your fingers. This Holy Week, which started today, there is nothing like it. And we can never play with it. It is not optional. Nobody is dispensing anybody from Holy Week. No bishop, not even Pope, is giving any dispensation and said, you know what, because of pandemic, do not celebrate the Holy Week. Whether you are celebrating it here in the church or you are following online, the most important thing is that we must have the disposition of our heart towards our salvation. We want to take our salvation seriously as never before. This is for us, not for them. This is for you, not for them. This is for me and not for them. Let all the hearts turn towards God. Let the Holy Week begin.